Okay, so let's talk about what I consider to be your number one sales tool, or maybe more appropriately, your number one relationship building tool for your customer, and that is a multi-point inspection form. Now, I know some of you just recoiled at the very thought of a multi-point inspection form, or what I call an MPI. The reason many of us recoil when we think about multi-point inspection forms is that, we had jobs at some point that we didn't get paid to do them, or we had a service writer that didn't know how to use it or couldn't sell off of it, etc., and they got a bad reputation. But let's talk about what the intent of these MPIs really is. And it goes back to what I mentioned in the last section about what customers know and understand about their vehicle. In reality, it's very little. And granted, it runs on a scale, and some know more than others. But big picture, they know very little about their vehicle and in the condition of their vehicle. Now, this industry reputation thing we mentioned too plays into this. If I show up at your shop at 120,000 miles and you pull out a multi-point inspection form and you go through my car and say you're really diligent about it, and you hand it to the service writer, and the service writer presents it over the counter to me, and I discover I need $4,000 worth of work on my vehicle. Now I'm recoiling, right? Now I'm walking in there going, yeah, I knew it. You confirm my worst fears. You are a ripoff. You're trying to pull one over on me, etc., etc. Well, how did that happen? That happened because nobody used that MPI with me the entire history of my vehicle. If I, as a customer, was used to somebody, every time I brought my vehicle into them, filling out the multi-point inspection form, whether I needed anything or not, I would eventually come to realize it as a report card on my vehicle. So get yourself a multi-point inspection form and use it for every single customer, every single visit. Now, there's some rules to using them, okay? And one of those rules is ask the customer. Explain that it's a free 52-point or whatever it is, whatever you want to develop is fine. A free inspection that you perform on every vehicle as a courtesy to your customers to inform them of the condition of their vehicle. And it is just as important to do this on the vehicles that don't need anything, the vehicles that you're not going to upsell a single thing on, as it is those vehicles that need an alignment, a tie rod, a steering rack, and 4 tires. The idea is to get your customer used to looking at these. Get your customer used to seeing it as a report card. So every time the customer walks up to conduct that transaction with you during write-up, have a form available and say, we offer a free, emphasize free, people like free stuff, free 52-point inspection. It just, here's the points we go through. It gives you an idea of the state of your vehicle. We'll let you know if it needs anything. We'll let you know if it doesn't need anything. And the more times you present a form like that to me that doesn't need anything, what's the message it's sending? It's sending me the message that I can trust you. Aren't we after trust? We're after trust, right? And if you hand me a multi-point inspection form and say, sir, your vehicle doesn't need anything, you are good to go, I'm going to walk out of there going, hey, cool. Okay? So think about it. It's a relationship building tool. Now, it does more than that for you. Very, very important sales tool on a number of levels. All right? Let's first talk about organizing, prioritizing the work that a vehicle does need. So say you fill out that multi-point inspection form. It goes out to the technician. They do a very diligent job out in the repair shop, looking the vehicle over, determining what it needs, and getting prices for the counter associate to present the customer. You bring it out. It needs $2,000 worth of work. The customer goes, oh no, I can't do that today. I've got no money. Well, part of the reason that money plays into these transactions is it's an unexpected expense. The customer came to you expecting to spend $34.95 for an oil change. They said, yeah, it'd be great if you did that 52-point inspection. You do it, and all of a sudden you say, well, you need $2,000 worth of work. Now, I'm taken aback. I didn't budget for that. Help your customer out. Build the relationship. Okay, sir, ma'am, here's what I would recommend. Here are the things that are really important, and prioritize those. Break those out. By prioritizing and breaking those out of the overall list, you do two things. First of all, you're helping the customer, and they're recognizing that you're helping them. You're telling them what's really important, what's kind of sort of important, and what they can put off for a little while. It just narrowed the list of what they need to consider. Now, the really important thing. You can turn that form around and you can pass it across the counter to them and you say, what would you like to have done? What did you just do by doing that? You just gave them the control now. Remember their anxiety was up here because they needed you? And if they didn't bring their car to you, something bad was going to happen, they were going to be hoofing it? Well, you just put the control back in their hands. You helped them. You let them know what their vehicle needed. You prioritized it for them. You handed it to them and you said, you customer, you choose. You tell me what you'd like to do. Now, that not only makes them feel better and helps build a relationship, but the non-immediate things, the things that aren't safety related, they can now take that MPI, that multi-point inspection form, home with them, and they can budget for the next needed repair. And in this way, you continue to build the relationship. You also use that MPI as a retention tool. Say I need three things. I bring my car in for an oil change. You do a great job informing me of the multi-point inspection you're going to do. Your technician is diligent, and they come out and they say, sir, you need a tie rod end, 4 tires, and an alignment. And I say, ooh, I can't do that today. I don't have the money. And you prioritize it. You break it out for me. And you say, okay, well, look, the tie rod's really bad. That's a safety issue. That breaks, bad things happen. The tires, they're not horrible. You can get away with driving it for another few weeks if money's an issue or if time is an issue. And then the alignment, you're going to want to do that with the tires. And I say, okay, so now I know A, what's really, really important, and B, what can wait a little bit. I say, go ahead and do the tie rod. Now, when you're closing out my invoice, you hand me that invoice and you say, sir, would you like to make an appointment to have those tires put on and your alignment performed? When would you like to do that? You pre-schedule the appointment. And we'll talk about appointment scheduling in a little bit. But you pre-schedule the appointment based on that multi-point inspection form. What does that do? That keeps me with you. It keeps me from driving down the road next Friday with an extra $1,000 in my pocket, for whatever reason, and going, hey, Joe's Auto's open. I'm going to go over there because I need tires. If I had an appointment at your shop based on our conversation about the multi-point inspection form, I am far more likely to return to your shop and have that work done. So multi-point inspection forms are very, very, very important. They build a relationship with the customer. They allow the customer to budget for needed repairs, and they allow you to prioritize, therefore help the customer with future needs. One other point on multi-point inspections before we move on. Big point. Why do you, maybe, and why do technicians strongly dislike multi-point inspection forms? Well, here's what I see happen. Service writer at the counter here does a phenomenal job explaining what the multi-point inspection form is. Customer says, yep, go ahead and do it. It goes out to the shop. Technician does a phenomenal job. They're diligent about it. They inspect the brakes. They inspect the tires. They go over the vehicle with a fine-tooth comb. They document everything really, really well. Technician brings it back to the service counter. That service writer now takes it over to the customer. Where'd the technician go? Technician went back out in the shop, do their job, right? They're gone. Has the conversation with the customer. Service writer talks to the customer. Customer says, can't do it right now. Don't have time, don't have money, whatever it is. Service writer does an awesome job pre-scheduling the appointment. Well, okay, Mrs. Smith, when would you like to have it done? Hey, next Friday's great. Okay, perfect. Mrs. Smith takes her car and leaves. And or the service writer goes out in the shop and says, put the wheels back on it, she can't do it now. And Mrs. Smith takes the car and leaves. What's the technician thinking? Technician's thinking the service writer can't do his or her job. What was the point in me filling out that MPI? There was no point in it. I got nothing from it. What they don't know is that they will get something from it because that appointment was scheduled for a week from now. What I strongly encourage that you ask your associates to do, all of your counter people do, is take that MPI after that customer leaves or 10 minutes later, whenever, and go back out to the technician and say, hey, John, thank you very much. You did an awesome job. Mrs. Smith made an appointment for next week. I'll make sure you get the work. That sends the message to John that the counter associate, your service writer, assistant service manager, whoever it is, did their job. And they did their job well. And the customer is coming back, and they are going to get the money off that MPI. Think about getting MPIs and using MPIs. Use them properly if you don't already. More to follow.